if you're not getting, I would say 2 to 3 a week, you really need to sit down and go into this next process that we're going to talk about, which is called a comparative market analysis. Now, how to sell your home in 2026 without a realtor. All right, I'm going to break it down for you in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for reaching out and commenting on the video to let me know what I missed, or if you're a savvy realtor, you think that, whatever you think, put it in the comments, because we're going to go over it. So I wanted to make a video about how to sell your home without a realtor. And then also I wanted to make this video so when I reach out to for sale by owners, I can put everything into perspective for them with a video to show them exactly how to do it to be successful, and or some of the reasons that maybe using a realtor would be beneficial for specific cases. So first and foremost, before you try to sell your home as a for sale by owner, you really have to understand the environment that the 2026 market, the real estate market, residential real estate market, is currently in. So think of it like this. We were, for the longest time, for several years, in an environment where low interest rates were driving excessive demand. There was inventory that was very small. Therefore, it caused a bubble effect in most real estate residential markets across the United States and across the world. Loose monetary policy introduced a very low entry point for first-time home buyers, or any buyers for that case, and they were competing. Some houses were getting multiple offers. In some homes, people were doing insane things like waiving contingencies, waiving inspection periods. And I just want to be very clear that this type of environment that we're currently in 2026 is not that. Buyers are not waiving inspections or contingencies or these type of things. And I also want to point out that what homeowners are looking at when they look at Zillow in terms of the sale price, the home that the home actually sold for, a lot of times is not the actual price it indeed closed at in terms of reality, because a lot of these homes that are selling in 2026 are selling with concessions. And a concession, in simple terms, means it's a discount on the purchase price, or a discount on the rate buy down, or things of this nature that are on the back end on the MLS. And this is kind of like a private subsection that realtors see, but the actual front-end user on Zillow, or the front-end home buyer or seller, does not have access to. So I just want to be clear. And I also wanted to kind of educate home sellers that there's only about 10 to 11% of for sale by owners actually end up successfully getting a contract and actually closing escrow and transferring the property, obviously, to the next owner. So it's a very small amount of for sale by owners actually successfully do this. And about 50 to 55% actually end up going with a licensed realtor for various reasons that we'll go over. And then also 35 to 40% end up removing the listing. They were just testing the market, or they just wanted to see what would happen type deals. So those are kind of the percentages of metrics that you can look at. Statistics that are tracked through platforms like Zillow, Redfin, the MLS, the National Association of Realtors. So it's very important to understand that. So I also want to people to understand that they can sell their home as a for sale by owner. But if they do decide, if they are one of those 50% of people that do decide to use a realtor, it is very important in today's 2026 market that if you choose a realtor, you understand that the realtor is not just somebody with a real estate license. It's somebody that actually understands the macroeconomic environment that we're in with 2026. If they need to understand bond yields, how it drives the mortgage rates, understand the amount of buyer pools in the area, and the finances behind what the buyers are actually looking for in that market. Because if you don't know the buyers of what their typical economic micro data to specific to them is looking for, then you don't understand like who the buyers are in the area. So it's very important that you understand that type of metric as well. So also I want to do is I also want to educate anybody that's watching this video that in 2026, transaction volume here where I'm located in San Diego, but across the United States, is at decade lows, 33-year lows. So that's not to deter you from making you think your home won't sell. It's just a very important point that you need to understand that the buyer pools that are in these markets are much smaller than they've been over the last few years. So to cater to those buyer pools, your listing does have to stand out. And this is completely different than the 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, and into 24 market that people have kind of looked to price their home. Okay, so buyers are very selective. They're not waiving any type of contingencies. In fact, we're seeing a record number of people actually pull out of their contract, meaning the buyers are deciding halfway through or some point through that they don't want to buy the home anymore. So it's very important that you understand that, because if you don't understand that the buyer pools are small and that a lot of these transactions are not actually finishing, it's hard to understand how to price the home for it to actually sell. So one thing I also want to point out is when I talk to for sale by owners a lot of times, and it's literally like not every other, but almost every other for sale by owner, they always want to give me the spiel as the same spiel. And that spiel is that there is something specifically special about their home. And although that could be the case in a lot of the cases, maybe there could be something special with that home. I just want to point out that it is something that I hear almost religiously, guys. I mean, I literally hear it to pretty much most of these for sale by owners. They are kind of under this predisposition that there is something intrinsically special about their home. And I just want to point out that most people think that about their home. So there are other homes in the area that potentially have special qualities about it. So I'm not saying that there is not something special about your home. I'm just letting you know that pretty much everybody thinks that. So you got to kind of like put that to the side and say, yeah, my home's special, but there's a lot of special things with homes that are for sale in the area, particularly unless it's something that's just absolutely undeniably special, then likely, it's kind of a gray area that a buyer probably wouldn't think it was that special like the person selling the home. Now, also what I want to understand is what you'd understand is that when you go to list your home, if you're not getting the proper metrics, you're not going to be getting the foot traffic coming into the home. Meaning if you post, a lot of people go to Zillow to post a for sale by owner. I don't recommend going that route, and I'm going to dive more into that towards the end of the video on how to get your home listed properly so it gets the right exposure. But if you're listing your home on Zillow and you're sitting 2-3 weeks and you only have like 30 or 40 saves, that is a very, very clear metric. That means that the price is simply too high for those buyer pools in the area. So just understand that if you're going on Zillow and you're not getting foot traffic, you're not getting people calling you, not realtors trying to solicit, not off-market buyers trying to say they have buyers that want to come look at your home. If you don't have actual buyers or buyers agents giving you a call saying, I want to set up an appointment, I have someone that's really interested in your home. If you're not getting, I would say 2 to 3 a week, you really need to sit down and go into this next process that we're going to talk about, which is called a comparative market analysis. Now, I have pulled up an example of this so we can educate home sellers out there about how to go about this process and how I would actually go about this process if I was listing a home. And, we're going to be doing it on Zillow. I would typically go to the back side of the MLS and look at concessions and be a little bit more specific to that micro market, variety of different things that we can do here as a realtor that you have access to is for tools. that the public simply doesn't have access to. But if you're a for sale by owner, what you would do is, what I've done is I've located a home that is a for sale by owner in Santa Barbara. It's 30 Pine Drive, Santa Barbara. And I'm going to post this on the screen here so you can see it. So what I've done here is I've located this home, and I'm going to kind of scroll here to give you guys kind of a basis of this. Now, this thing was built in 1949. So if you're a home seller and you own a home that's built in 1949, this one probably would be okay, but there is also a high probability that the buyers would not be able to get a loan for your home. Now, and this isn't in all cases, but a lot of cases, the older homes, homes built in the, the early 40s, the 30s, the 20s, these type of things that have been in the family generation for a long time, they're sometimes going to have problems getting qualified loans to actually buy the home. So keep that in mind as well. But we're going to jump right through this. This is a home that's been on the market for about 37 days. It's located in Santa Barbara, California, which is a really hot market. It's kind of a market that typically it's kind of shielded from any of these type things economic wise, simply because of the specific area. That's why I chose this area. But if you're anywhere in the United States, this still applies. This is still a route that you could go about to price in your home aggressively to actually get foot traffic and to secure a contract to move into escrow. So this particular home has been on the market 37 days. It's got about 24 saves. And I can already tell you that based on that metric right there, they're overpriced. They're trying to get this home sold at the top level of the price. Now, during COVID 2022, they might have got it. They might have had people line up outside to get it. But I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to give you another comparable so you can see what I mean, that this home obviously needs some work. Like, the owner thinks that some flowers outside are cool. The new owner might not care about that at all. It looks like they've done a little bit of light remodeling. You can see the kitchen's been remodeled, but it's got carpet. It's got the brown carpet inside here. It might be brand new carpet, but it kind of looks like a kind of a quick remodel, or they've tried to kind of remodel this in a fashion where it looks kind of clean off the first gaze, but it's kind of not super high end, right? For a $1.5 million home, you would think that it's super nice. So I want to scroll down here as well, because what also people need to understand is that when somebody buys your home and you've been in the home for 30, 40 years or 10 years or whatever, that the county or the tax assessor is going to reassess the value of that purchase price, and they're going to apply that new purchase price to the new owner's taxes. And a lot of people don't really even know this. So it's good to know this, because you have to understand that not only is somebody going to be paying double the mortgage rate than they were paying just a few years ago during COVID, where the mortgage rates were literally half, the buyer pools now are going to be paying double what buyers were paying just a few years ago on the monthly mortgage rate, because most of these homes are still selling with a mortgage. So they're going to be paying double the amount per month to have the same home potentially at the same price. Like, this home could have sold for 1.5 in 2022 at a 3.5% interest rate. It's going to be almost half the monthly mortgage rate of somebody buying it in today's economic 2026 housing market, right? So you have to understand that the mortgage rates now are double than what they were just a short amount of time ago, which means the buyers in the buyer pools now are paying double what they were just a few years ago, regardless of the purchase price. Okay, if the purchase price is the same, the monthly payment is now double. So you have to understand that. Now, secondly, what people fail to realize is that this $9,000 number is actually super low, because once the tax assessor applies the new purchase price, that monthly payment is going to be closer to $12,000. Okay, why? Because the tax on that 1.5 million is going to carry that monthly mortgage rate. When you have PMI insurance, you have the tax built into the mortgage. That tax bill is going to go up quite a bit, significantly, where it's going to affect that monthly mortgage rate. Now, I could already tell you off the top of my head what this home would sell for, but for the purposes of this video, we're gonna show you a comparable so you guys can understand. And to back up what I'm saying here is, if you go down to the bottom, you can always see the tax rate. Look, these people are paying nothing on the tax rate. This home's probably been in the family for generations, okay? Probably, who knows how long. Their tax rate is so little right now. I mean, look at that, $821 a year. Their tax assessment on this home is $80,000. Now, I don't know how they got that low, other than this house has probably been sitting in this family for decades, okay? It's never been sold. So we're gonna jump over here to a comparable that has sold recently, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. This is pretty much the same square feet. I mean, we're looking at like 35 feet difference, and this home has recently sold. So when you're a home seller, you don't want to look at homes that are listed in the area. You want to look at homes that have sold in the area, meaning, you want to look at the homes that have gotten a contract, that have sold, and then you want to take a look at this number down here at the bottom of the screen, is we want to see how long this home took to sell. Because if it was on the market for 6 months and it came in and out of escrow, that's not the price you want to dictate. That's not what needs to drive the price. You don't want to look at that. You want to look at the home, like this was listed in March, and it sold less than a month later. It sold very quickly. It was listed for 1.395, right? The realtor was smart. They listed it on the lower side. They probably had a lot of foot traffic come through this home, and it sold above ask. It sold at 1.488, almost $100,000 above the actual list price. And look how fast this home sold. Within 10 days, it had a contract. So they were obviously priced in right. And look at this tax bill. This person bought this home in 2016. Their tax bill was already 2016 at $1 million. It was 10,000, and the person that just bought it, now that tax bill is going to be closer to 16,000. So you're going to divide that by 12. You're going to add it to the mortgage rate, and you're going to find that mortgage rate is closer to the $11,000 range, somewhere in there by the time you add your PMI insurance and your mortgage insurance and things like that. So I want to take a look at this home as well as on the photos. Is look how much better this home is. You might be saying, dude, that doesn't even look like the same home. Well, it was built 4 years later, so it's basically in the same time frame that other home that was overpriced over here by this for sale by owner. It's the same price, or the same age, right? 1949. This one's built in, I think, 1953. So around the same time. But this is move-in ready. This is way better inside. You see this right here. You see this right here. It's just way nicer in a multitude of different ways. So if you're a home seller, you don't want to look at homes that are listed. You want to look at homes that are selling, and how fast those homes are selling. That is how you're going to apply this metric to your home. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the price per square foot. You're going to find homes in the area that have closed that are similar to your home. And don't be too vague. Don't look at the home that was sold 4 years ago, and you're thinking, it's 4 years later, let's add $100,000 to the house. It's if you're not getting the metrics, you're not getting the foot traffic coming into the home, it's obvious you're too high, you're too overpriced. And then secondly, what you want to look at is this person would be very smart, this for sale by owner, if they went down here and looked at the price per square foot that this home sold for. This one sold for $1,489 for price per square foot. Now, if you applied that to this square foot, it would obviously be more, right? It would obviously be a lot more. But what this owner needs to do is they need to come back to reality. This home it's move-in ready, but it needs some work. This homeowner would need to price in what it would take to match this home that's sold. This one's got brand new windows. It looks like this has brand new windows. These windows look like they've been on here for at least 20 years, 30 years. You see what I'm saying here? So that's the type of stuff you want to look at. This is kind of like, yeah, they've upgraded it, but it looks like kind of it just was thrown together, right? And that's because it is. They're trying to make it seem like this home is like move-in ready and it's perfect. But in reality, if you were to do an inspection, you'd probably find things wrong with this home, simply just as we're finding things wrong with it looking here on the internet. So another very important part that I want to point out is if you're a for sale by owner, listing your home on Zillow and that being all you do is a complete waste of your time, okay? Unless you're just testing the market. What you would really want to do is you would want to reach out to an MLS listing agent, and it's like, I don't know, anywhere from $150 to $300. You would want to take your listing and you would want to put it on the MLS. That way it aggregates your listing, your for sale by owner home, to every platform that people are searching for. The more exposure that you get in that criteria of listing and selling your home, the more foot traffic you're going to get, the more people you're going to have to, come in to see the home. So that's one thing. And then also, what for sale by owners really, I find a lot of times they want to really kind of penny pinch on the commission. They think, realtors are kind of just these people that just, like, it's an easy barrier of entry to being a realtor, which actually isn't the case. In fact, I actually found only about 48% of people in California actually pass the real estate exam their first shot. So it's almost like going into court without a lawyer. You can do it. It can be done if you're, very savvy with that type of stuff and you know how to do it. But, selling your home without a realtor comes with a bunch of challenges that we haven't even mentioned. So really, like, realtors like doing business with realtors, meaning if you have a buyer's agent, it doesn't matter if you offer compensation in the listing, which you can do. A lot of times I see it on the Zillow side of stuff. Can't do it on the MLS anymore because of the new laws, but realtors don't want to really deal with, I wouldn't want to deal with a for sale by owner if I have a buyer, simply because professional realtors like to deal with professional realtors. That is how the business works. We're in the business of selling houses. We're not in the business of, dealing with a for sale by owner that potentially could get emotional and back out halfway through the deal, or not understand the complexities of how the contracts are written, or even enter liabilities later on down the road because they were unrepresented in the transaction and they missed something that was not really an error on the realtor's part, but an error on the for sale by owner's part. Okay, that happens a lot of times, and lawsuits get created and stuff like that. So for me, I personally would tell my buyers, hey, this is a for sale by owner. Unless I have a really, really good way of controlling this transaction, I don't think we should look at the house. And a lot of people would say, oh, well, you're steering people away from the house that's for sale. Not really. You're just choosing not to do business with somebody that potentially could open up liabilities for yourself, your company, your brokerage, and the buyers that are out actively looking for a home, and ultimately lose that buyer as a client. So there's that part. And then, I guess concluding, I don't want to deter people from selling their home as a for sale by owner per se, because it can be done with the right steps and processes. Anybody can find an escrow company or a title company. You don't have to be a realtor to do that. Anybody can post their home on the MLS. Anybody can do that. But if you really don't understand the micro market and understand the variables and how quickly things can change once you go into escrow and how the whole process actually works, I really do think that for sale by owners, if they knew what it was to start to finish, that they could see that hiring a professional realtor that is a good realtor and that looks at all these type things would actually benefit and protect their interests, and they would probably actually get more for their home. And there also has been studies done with that backs that up, that typically people that sell their home and conclude with a for sale by owner typically get less than if they were to actually go with a realtor, pay the commission, and actually get the home sold. So it's a good thing to note. Anybody can sell their house without a realtor, but there's a very specific reason that the homes actually don't end up selling. So I just wanted to point that out. And then I guess lastly, if you guys have any questions, I'm in the California area. I'm located down here in sunny, beautiful San Diego, but I cover the entire state. And we actually close a lot of these homes off market. They don't even go on the MLS. So if you guys are interested in getting a comparative market analysis, you're anywhere in the state of California, I have the ability, I have the tools where I can navigate into your micro market to see exactly what buyer pools are shopping for in that area. We can do a cost analysis, break it down, and then obviously sell the home. And if you're in other states, reach out to me. I can put you in touch with somebody that's a professional that is in your micro market where they can help you sell your home as well. And I think that's about all I got. I think we covered everything in terms of how to get your home sold. And another real clear metric, guys, is like if your home's sitting 30 plus days on the market and you're not getting foot traffic, I mean, it's obvious. You got to lower the price. I mean, that's kind of it always goes back to the price. There's a buyer out there for a price, but you know, a lot of for sale buy owners too, they want to kind of like nickel and dime every profit of their home sale, which I understand. People are trying to maximize their financial bottom line. So I do understand that. But in a real estate market, even inflation adjusted for these home prices, the amount of equity that homeowners have achieved over the last few years, I think it would be, you would be doing yourself a disservice to not use a realtor based on the current market. Now, if we were back in 2021, where you could list your home anywhere on the internet and you'd have people lining up at your door giving you damn near any price that you want, that's a different story. But in today's market, in the 2026 market, people really need to step back and they need to understand that transaction volume is at an all-time low, all right, in 33 years. The buyer pools are small. I'm telling you, they're very small. Doesn't matter what market you're in. Santa Barbara is one of the hottest markets in the entire state of California. And I guarantee I could call any realtor up in that area and they would tell you that sales transaction volumes are low based on their local MLS. And that is happening everywhere. So in today's market, you have to have either a super macro investment savvy mind, and you have to understand the contracts of how these real estate transactions take place. And that is a lot, okay? Most of these people, they just want to sell their home. You know, they're not licensed realtors. They don't understand the escrow process other than the 1 or 2 homes, 3 homes they bought in their lifetime. They don't understand the complex situations that realtors deal with on the back end. So I would just say, hey, you know, to give up 5%, a couple more percentage points for the escrow process and closing fees, the amount of money you're trying to save, it's not worth the liability. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on it, guys. Reach out to me. I got my phone number here in the bottom of the corner of the screen, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Take care.